Thank you for joining us for the English portion of our radio program, Para Ser Legal to Be Legal. Today, we got George Floyd and Justice for All. We're also going to talk about the June pandemic immigration update. And third, how much will my green card cost and how long will it take?
Calificas para ser legal, quieres saber, solo llama al abogado Andrés Mejer.
June pandemic immigration update. Hey, is immigration reopening? Yes, they are. What does that mean? So we're going to go over it in detail. First, let's talk about the courts. Detained cases remain open. They never closed. Now, there are less people detained at the moment. ICE is rounding up less people at the moment. And many that were detained were released for health reasons. Not a lot, but some. Non-detained cases are postponed through and including June 26, 2020. That means for the entire month of June. Embassies and consulates, we still don't have any new information. They are closed except for emergency situations in the U.S. USCIS is reopening non-emergency services after June 4th. I almost said the 4th of July, but no, not yet. It's June 4th. So this is going to differ across the country depending on the affected region. In general, after the 4th of June, USCIS is reopening, but for example, will Newark or New York be reopened versus Nebraska? Well, Nebraska likely will. Newark, New York might take a little bit longer. So offices are going to reduce the number of appointments and reduce the number of interviews to allow for social distancing, cleaning, and reduce waiting room occupancy. Read your notice because the notice you receive in the mail is going to have information on safety precautions at your specific location. Asylum interviews. They're expected to be done by video. I encourage anybody with an interview coming up to discuss this with an attorney. Even if you filed it without an attorney, go talk to an attorney. In my opinion, we discourage the use of video or telephone when your life is on the line. And when you're filing for asylum, your life is on the line. For an asylum interview, you're going to have to bring all your family members listed as dependents on the application. And if you need an interpreter, you got to bring the interpreter also. Now, depending on the notice, your attorney may appear telephonically. Again, I don't believe that's a good idea. I don't believe it's good for anybody to appear telephonically. I can't read body language. I can't see how an officer says or reacts. And I have no way of knowing what the officer is going to say to you before or after he puts me on the phone. So it is not an ideal scenario, but it might be all we have given the circumstances for a while. Naturalization ceremonies. This means you passed your naturalization exam, but you haven't yet been sworn in. You're going to get a new notice in the mail. The ceremony will be shorter. There will likely be less people at each ceremony, and they'll try to do more ceremonies on the same day. Now, interviews and appointments. So previously scheduled appointments are being rescheduled. I still encourage everybody to file their own request. Say, hey, I want to be rescheduled. Mine was on April 15th. I couldn't attend because of COVID-19. Please reschedule it. Don't wait for them to do it. There will be mistakes. Make sure it doesn't happen to you. Now, at the interview, only the applicant, one family member, and one representative, like an attorney, will be allowed to go in. If, for example, there were circumstances when I brought in an associate for him or her to learn what we're doing, that's not going to be allowed. Only one attorney. Now, if you need an interpreter, they should be available by phone. Again, talk to your attorney because that's region by region. Application serving centers, that's where you get fingerprinted. You are going to receive a new appointment letter in the mail, but again, I urge you not to wait. Request the appointment to be rescheduled and make sure you keep a copy of the letter that you send. There will be delays, so get on the list as quickly as possible. Apply as quickly as possible. Now, here are guidelines that USCIS has given us to enter their offices. First of all, you can't enter if you have symptoms of COVID-19 like cough, fever, or difficulty breathing. If you've been in close contact with anyone known or suspected to have COVID-19 in the last 2 weeks, the last 14 days, you can't come. And if you've been directed to self-quarantine by a healthcare provider like a nurse or a doctor in the past 2 weeks, you also can't come in. So, if you have symptoms, you can't come. If you've been in contact with someone with symptoms, for the past 2 weeks. Or if you've been instructed to quarantine, you can't come in. Listen, I had a guy that came to my office last week. He came in to retain us. Now, again, we have specific requirements for who can come in and how can come in. And despite all of that, at the interview, when we're meeting, he tells me his wife just died from COVID-19 less than a week ago. Tragic. It was horrible. Nobody should have to go through that. But I mean, even though we call and we ask and we advise, he still got into the room meeting with me before he told me he was in contact with somebody who not only had it but died from it. Thank God we're all fine, healthy, myself, my family, so our employees, our staff, no one caught anything. But still, you can imagine, we try to be careful. So visitors can enter only 15 minutes before the appointment to USCIS, 30 minutes for a citizenship ceremony. Hand sanitizer is going to be provided at the entry. You must wear facial covering both your mouth and your nose. Bring your own blue or black pen because they're not going to give you one. Think about it. If you touch something, then you're not going to keep giving it around to different people. So bring your own pen. Now, prices are going up. Don't wait to get in line. USCIS is self-funded through filing fees. Trump has been successful in scaring people from filing for their green cards. That was before COVID-19. But now, new filings have pretty much stopped completely. We are seeing some cases being approved in 2 weeks. That was unheard of before COVID-19. As long as I've been an attorney, I haven't encountered something approved in 2 weeks other than an emergency situation. USCIS has asked Congress for $1.2 billion and an increase of 10% of filing fees across the board. Trump has already said he plans on increasing some fees by over 500%. That was before COVID-19. Trump doesn't want new immigration, period. Don't wait to file until after the prices go up. Get started now. Thank you for your time. My name is Andres Mejer, and until next week.